Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Susan LoPresti Wellness, Mind, Body, and Soul. This is the podcast where we explore the highs, the lows, and everything in between when it comes to a woman's life, her health, and all aspects of navigating the midlife landscape. I'm your host, Susan LoPresti, and today I have a special guest with me. Her name is Ashley Rocha. And Ashley is a pioneering advocate for women's hormonal health and the founder of Ladywell, a company dedicated to making hormone care accessible and mainstream. Driven by personal experience with PMDD, which is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and a challenging journey to motherhood, Ashley assembled a team of expert practitioners to tackle hormonal imbalances on a larger scale. Through Ladywell, she is committed to empowering women to reclaim control of their well-being. Hormonal imbalances impact nearly 80% of women. These imbalances often manifest as fatigue, mood swings, and a diminished quality of life. Ashley's personal struggles with PMDD highlighted the lack of effective, empathetic support with conventional healthcare. Inspired to make a change, she founded Ladywell to provide holistic, science-backed solutions that address hormonal issues at every life stage. Her mission is to break the stigma surrounding hormone health and ensure that women have access to the tools that they need to live vibrant, balanced lives. So, Ashley, welcome to my podcast. I'm excited to have you here, and I'm excited for you to share your story, what you went through, and how you're helping women.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Great. So, Ashley, let's start by giving a full detail of what PMDD is and what the symptoms were for you personally.
Yeah, so PMDD is, closer to PMS, but it's distinctly different because the emotional pieces of PMS are really dialed up. So you'll have severe mood swings. You can have severe anger, irritability. Some people feel depression, hopelessness, anxiety. But really it's this mark of the emotional pieces of PMS dialed up. You can have sleep issues, appetite changes. You'll still have PMS symptoms. You can still have those body cramps. I was taking 20 Advil a day for my period because my cramps are so intense. Wow. Bloating, breast tenderness, but really it's those emotional symptoms that will be the sign of PMDD. And PMDD is believed to be a sensitivity to normal hormone fluctuations, especially estrogen and progesterone. So these hormonal shifts affect neurotransmitters like serotonin, leading to these emotional symptoms. So while all women have similar hormone fluctuations during their cycle, people with PMDD have a sensitivity to these hormone fluctuations, and that's what leads to this PMDD.
Right. So how long before your actual period came did you start experiencing this?
Yeah, it's like the week before in your luteal phase. And then once your period starts, those symptoms are usually relieved, at least like the emotional pieces. I still had painful periods during my actual period time when I was bleeding, but it's usually that week prior is when you start having those symptoms.
Right. And then once you're done with your period for that month, do you just go right back to normal, or does it take?
that was really much the cycle. And your period comes and you're relieved of those symptoms and you turn back to your normal self, and then you kind of forget about what just happened and you continue on, and that's that cycle. And the part about PMDD, or I think PMS, like anybody who has hormonal fluctuations that cause you to turn into a different person or feel a different way, is you start to think like, who was that person? Was that person me, or am I this person? There's a bit of a shame that can come with it. Like if you say, for me example, like I would fight more, I would be quick to anger or depressed, and it would affect my relationships. But then my period comes and I'm a different person again. I'm back to who I was before. And I had a shame around the way I acted during that PMDD time right before my period.
Right. So I would imagine for your spouse, it was also very difficult, right? Like,
Yeah, definitely. It impacted my relationships. I mean, it impacts everything from work to social life to home life, family life. I have kids now, and I can see how PMDD could definitely affect your parenting very much. So, yes, I mean, I got a divorce at a few, what, 10 years ago, and I'm sure part of it was my PMDD. So it definitely impacts everything.
right. So that was prior to you finding your company
Yeah.
and
Yes.
really getting a handle on it. So, okay, so what brought you to the point of finding your company? So I'm imagining that you went to doctors with these symptoms. What were you being told by your doctors?
Yeah, so I was definitely trying to uncover what was going on. And when I go to doctors, the messaging was that I have PMS and that's normal. All women have PMS and that's just something you have to live with. And that's just part of being a woman. They would prescribe hormonal birth control, which is very common. I think the thing that they do all the time. And that just really masks symptoms. And I dabbled in all the birth controls and none of them fixed the problem. And some of them had other side effects. They also will prescribe SSRIs, which are antidepressants. And I knew I wasn't depressed. I didn't want to take antidepressants because, as we were just talking about, my symptoms were only present for a little portion of the month. I didn't want to be on antidepressants all the time. So, I went to the doctor several times, this is about 2 decades long, and I didn't get any real help. I was never told lifestyle changes could help. I was never told supplements could help. I was never given any information about hormones, about my cycle. Like I was never taught anything. So I didn't even know really to look for things because I was just told this is normal.
Right.
And it was around age 35, my mid 30s, I was trying to get pregnant and I was having a really hard time getting pregnant. I was doing all the right things, tracking my cycle, basal body temperature. And when you want to have a baby, you tend to do anything to get that baby. And so I started really looking into my health and being like, okay, what do I need to change? Like I intuitively, I knew something was off with my hormones, but I just didn't know how to get to that point. And so I'm an herbalist. I was studying herbalism for more about skincare and outside the body, but I knew the power of plant medicine. So I said, well, I'm going to look deeper into this with women's hormonal health and fertility. And I also started working with a naturopathic doctor, and they started doing tests and uncovering I had an estrogen dominance and just helped me like on a very simple level understand my hormones. But I that led to so much more information. And from there I made simple lifestyle changes that were really helpful. I ate more protein, I cut back on caffeine and alcohol, ate healthier in terms of eating more leafy greens. So things that we all are told that are healthy for your diet, but being more pointed about it. And then started taking supplements. And this is really what changed the game for me is I started on a routine of supplements that I was able to get rid of this PMDD that I had for 2 decades. Within about 6 months, I was feeling like a whole different person all month long. And it really changed my life dramatically because I wasn't, if you lose 1 week a month to PMDD, that really adds up. And I felt a lot more empowered and I was able to get pregnant. And so I have 2 kids now as a result of that. And I didn't have to go to IVF, even though I think in conventional medicine, if I didn't adjust my hormonal imbalances, they probably would have pushed me to do IVF in the end. And it just changed my life so much. So that's really why I began Ladywell. It's a mission-driven company out of my own struggles and my own solutions that I found. And as I was taking these supplements, it was pretty complex. I was taking like different 20 tinctures a day at one point. And I really wanted to create formulas that brought all these things together and simplified hormone care because it can be complex. And I wanted to make it easy for women because we're all busy and
Yeah.
we just need solutions that are easy to understand, easy to fit into our life and work
So
well.
that they're sustainable long term, right?
Yes.
Because if it's complicated and you have a busy life, that'll fall to the side at some point. So initially, what supplements were you taking that made a difference to you? Anything in particular?
Yeah, well, I would say these are things that are in our products. Chasteberry is a really wonderful supplement for a lot of women across all life stages. Saffron is wonderful, and you can eat saffron in your diet as well. Saffron really helps with those mood swings and those fluctuations, and it's been clinically proven to do so. And then things like ashwagandha, magnesium, B vitamins, vitamin D. Most women are magnesium deficient, and
Yeah.
that can lead to sleep issues and all kinds of problems. And magnesium is such an easy thing to add to your diet. And a lot of these things are easy to add to your diet, really. It's just knowing that you need them or just finding formulas that are really comprehensive and targeted to what you're trying to go after.
Mm-hmm. How long would it take a woman to start feeling a difference?
Yeah, so these aren't pharmaceuticals. And I think in America, at least, we're all programmed to want instant results
Yes.
or it doesn't work. Like take an Advil, get rid of your headache.
Right.
And that's what the pharmaceutical companies want us to want because then we want drugs. But drugs are really just symptom masking anyways, and they can lead to more problems and more symptoms. But I always recommend people take supplements for at least 3 months to see how they work on their body and to feel the full results. Adaptogens, which are included in our supplements, take about 3 months to fully kick in, and like they layer upon each other every time you take them and they reach their full effects.
Yeah.
You'll start to feel, depending on what the supplement contains, effects immediately, right? Within a lot of women take our daily hormone balance, and they within their first cycle they feel a lot better, and they have reduced bloating, reduced mood swings. But then you want to keep on going, and then I say 3 months is a great testing period to see how it has worked on your body.
So how many different products do you have?
We have 5 currently, and we'll have one being released in the summer, a perimeno. It's called perimeno. It's a
Oh,
perimenopause target support. Right now, our daily hormone balance is also for perimenopause, and we're just adding more to the perimenopause area because women in that age range have so many symptoms, and it can be, really life disruptive. So we want to have
yes.
extra support there.
That's great. I'm happy to hear that you're targeting that market as well,
Yeah.
because that's the market of my podcast and who I help as far as health coaching. So yeah, I mean, I remember when I had my period, I would get really bad cramps and a little bit emotional, but nothing severe like you're talking about. However, going through perimenopause and menopause was really a challenge. So I'm happy to hear that you are providing that as well. So, what would you offer to a woman who has mild symptoms, right? The general symptoms may get a little bit emotional or a little bit more sensitive than normal right before their period. What would be one product that you would recommend that you have right now?
Well, our daily hormone balance is really a great product for women that have any kind of hormonal fluctuations. And that's really our hero product. And that's what I'd recommend for people who have just light symptoms, but also severe symptoms. It is about preventative nature. Like we're all used to just like wait until we're super sick before we do anything about it. But you also want to consider prevention. I know you mentioned those symptoms, but the thing about hormones is that the symptoms can be things that we don't even expect them to be when it comes to, they're not just related to our cycle. For example, if you have sleep problems, if you have low energy, brain fog, weight gain, those are all also symptoms of hormone imbalance. So you can treat those things if you create healthy hormones in a healthy environment. So you can help your sleep problems. You can sleep better. For example, we have ashwagandha in our daily hormone balance, and that's an adaptogen that really helps with stress management and sleep. I think it's rare that people are not stressed out. I think we're
Right.
all like feel stress in our lives. It comes and goes, right? So I think adding an adaptogen to your supplement plan is really smart for most people because it helps you combat that stress and the impact stress has on your body, and that will be helpful long term and short term.
Right. So, do you do anything else, like any kind of coaching or support groups for women as well? You
Well,
have,
we're all about education. And so we have on our social media, we post educational content all the time. And we have a really robust blog on our website that has tons of information for different life stages, whatever you're at. And we, post videos on YouTube as well. So
Oh,
we don't do health one-on-one coaching. It's more of providing information on that way.
health education
Yep.
or hormone education as well. Where can women find you? And I'll put all of this in the show notes, all your social media.
Yeah, you can find us. Getladywell.com is our website. We made a promo code for your audience, actually. So you
Oh,
can
great.
use Susan20 for 20% off all our supplements on our website.
Okay.
And then you can find us on social media. Our handles Get Ladywell. And so follow us there. And we post, a lot. We post deals on our products as well, with a lot of educational content.
Okay. I have one other question. What advice would you give to a woman having trouble getting pregnant? What lifestyle changes that they could do, as well as diet and supplements?
Yes. So I definitely recommend people who want to get pregnant think about it and start in advance to trying to get pregnant. Most women just decide, I want to get pregnant tomorrow or next month. And then it becomes a disappointment cycle because it's not, for a lot of people, it's not as easy as just flipping a switch. You should definitely be tracking your cycle far in advance, just so you have historical data of your cycle length, your ovulation window. You have to be really targeted with intercourse to get pregnant, of course. And the older you get, the harder it gets.
Mm-hmm.
So we have supplements at Ladywell that help with your fertility health, your ovarian function, your egg viability, egg quality, egg health. So you should start taking these things at least 3 months in advance, because it'll affect the genetic material 90 days from when you start taking it, because that egg maturation cycle is 90 days. So I always recommend people start taking supplements 6 months to a year in advance, including your prenatal, to get your nutrient stores up, and then your fertility in line. So fertility boosting supplements like the fertility and egg health at our company. And then we have a quality prenatal vitamin. You always want to take a really quality tested prenatal. And if you have those pieces in order, then that will be a good foundation to when you try to get pregnant. And you should also look at your hormones. Like, so have you been getting irregular cycles? You skip cycles. That's a sign that there's hormonal imbalances at play. And you should try to fix those before you start trying to conceive. So you're once again in a better place to carry a healthy pregnancy, to get pregnant and stay pregnant.
Right.
So if you have hormonal issues and you're just been ignoring them your whole life, bad PMS, irregular cycles, definitely think about trying to work a supplement like our daily hormone balance in, because that will help you balance your hormones, get that in line before you start trying to get pregnant. So all those pieces are really important. So I would start thinking a year in advance to when you want to get pregnant about that, about planning in that way. And then eating a fertility friendly diet. Once again, it's like more protein, less caffeine, less alcohol. You want to reduce stress. Stress is the enemy of fertility, especially it's stressful trying to get pregnant. You like really become obsessed with it.
Yeah.
So once again, adaptogens are amazing for stress, and that's why we include them in our supplements. So working that into your routine will really help with fertility. And a lot of women don't track their cycles. And I think it's really hard, because once you try to get pregnant, you're kind of confused about what's going on. So really read up on when you get pregnant, how to track your ovulation. There's a lot of great tools that are available now of how to test if you're ovulating. Like there's strips that you pee on to show if you've ovulated. There's apps. There's tons of technology around that too.
Yes.
So if you're trying and you're not succeeding, you can turn to those kind of technologies.
That's great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Ashley. Any final thoughts you want to leave with someone who's been trying to get pregnant and having a hard time? What advice would you give them besides supplements from an emotional aspect? What would you say?
Yeah, I think that we feel alone a lot of the times and don't know what to do. And then we can go to our OBGYN, and then they might say you need in vitro, or keep trying. They don't offer a lot of information. I think there's really great naturopathic doctors out there that specialize in fertility, because you can have a vitamin D deficiency, something as simple as that, and that will be preventing you from getting pregnant. That can cause fertility issues. Or you might be a nurse working at night and your circadian rhythm's off. There's so many like little things like that. So naturopathic doctors that specialize in fertility can test for, you might have an underlying infection that might be preventing you from getting pregnant. They'll check off these little things and make sure that you're not missing these things and help you understand your body better. And you can do more in-depth hormonal testing with these people before you turn to IVF, or, before you give up and feel hopeless, because there's a lot of resources out there and a lot of amazing doctors who can help you on the naturopathic side without having to go to an IVF clinic.
Great.
And then of course IVF is wonderful if you have to do that. And then if you go see a naturopathic doctor prior to that, it's going to be a really better foundation for when you actually try to go do IVF, because IVF will probably work quicker and faster and you'll spend less money in the end, which is good.
Yeah, that's great advice. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for being here. And like I said, I will put all of your information in the show notes where they can find you, your website, purchase your products. And I appreciate that. So thank you so much.